All right. Cool. All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Chakudash. Double honors to the apostles, and that was a great millstone. Peace and salutations to the elect. Got the LD Zach with me here, and the brother Aina from GMS Dallas. And we're continuing the series that we're doing for the book of 2 Samuel. Today we're going into chapter 16, and pretty much we're going to pick up where we left off. All right. So if you brothers and sisters remember, from the last lesson, I'll kind of do an overview. Absalom, which we know the wicked, one of David's sons who, basically rebelled against him, right? Decided to go ahead and lift up himself, right? And basically try to usurp authority over his father's kingdom. Okay. And so, he did that through I'll say politics, through wooing the people, right? Through flattery, things like that. Okay. And so at the end of this chapter, you basically had, King David flee, right? And basically there was a plan that was set in place for David to still have a small amount of, I'll say, servants that basically was, looking over the kingdom or looking and seeing what Absalom was doing while David was gone. Okay, so with that being said, let's continue on here. All right, Lord willing, this is edifying. We're going to continue on in 2 Samuel in verse 1. Okay. Now it says Ziba, a false servant. When you go back to the first time Ziba is mentioned, basically was earlier in this book. Okay. Ziba was it says the servant of Mephibosheth, and basically this is one of Saul's descendants. Okay. Mephibosheth is one of Saul's descendants. Okay. And Ziba was the servant of Mephibosheth. Okay, so it says 2 Samuel 16:1, and when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled. Okay, which would be donkeys or mules, we'll say. All right, it says, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. So basically, Ziba came and provided these what's the word? Substance, right? I'm going to pull up this precept real quick in Psalms. All right. Precept that comes to mind here. It's Psalms chapter 37, verse 25. Okay. It says, I have been young and now am old, yet have I not seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Yeah, because the reason why I brought this out was because the Lord provided, through Ziba, the Lord provided victuals, okay, for David, and his servants, to sustain them while they basically fled the city. Okay. And so
another thing to keep in mind, you know what I'm saying? No matter how turbulent or the tribulation, whatever it may be, the Lord still provide.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When we go back into past accounts, you know what I'm saying, with Nabal and his wife, that was a situation where the Lord looked out for David. So when Yahweh shall say, don't worry about if the Lord gonna feed you. The Lord feed birds, so you better than a bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's just another one of those accounts to where David was going through something, but he didn't have to worry about where his next meal came from. He didn't have to worry about certain things that other people tend to worry about. Okay. As soon as you were saying that, it reminded me how the Lord say, "Look, I got you. Mm-hmm. If I say I'm with you, I'm with you."
That's right. That's right.
They
Yep.
don't say the Lord will have your enemies to do something for you. He'll have animals do something for you. He'll have a brother do something for you. You know what I'm saying? But you know that act was done, that the Lord was working.
Right. Yep. Yep. The scriptures say you can do nothing against the truth before it, man. So at the end of the day, the Lord's people are going to eat. Okay. This is 2 Samuel chapter 16 and verse 2. It says, and the king said unto Ziba, what meanest thou by these? Right. So King David saw, all of this bread, you know what I mean? All these raisins. I mean, 200 loaves of bread. Think about that. How much bread that is. A loaf of bread this big, 100 bunches of raisins, 100,
Yeah, you like, what's all this for?
yeah, what I mean? It wasn't just a little bit of food, it was a lot of food, right? So, um, and it says, and Ziba said, the asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and the wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. You see? So he even brought a little bit of drink, man, for, anybody, wanted to ease their pain. You know what I mean? And so that was love right there. Okay. It says, verse 3, and the king said, and where is thy master's son? Okay. It's because remember, Ziba was a servant of Saul, right? And so when David was saying thy master's son, he's talking about Mephibosheth, right? So he said, hey, look, where's Saul's son? Talking about Mephibosheth. Okay. It says, and Ziba said unto the king, behold, he abideth at Jerusalem. For he said, today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Okay. So,
Also, I want to say another thing.
mhm,
You're gonna notice throughout these accounts other precepts. You know what I'm saying?
mhm,
Now, here it is. This plan, you don't hear a Lord willing before it.
mhm,
You see? And you start to see all these different things tally up. You start to see all these offenses tally up, and then boom, here comes the judgment. You know
mhm,
what I'm saying? So they make their plans, they doing this, they doing that, they but it's never within what the Lord wants.
mhm,
Go ahead.
mhm. Yep. And I'm gonna actually read this part here in the NLT just to kind of get a little bit more common deal, right? Uh, all right. So it says, here we go. Second Samuel 16 and 3 in the NLT. And where is Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson? The king asked him. Uh, he stayed in Jerusalem, Ziba replied. He said, today I will get back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. So, like you were saying, Zaquan, you know, uh, like basically Mephibosheth, he kind of like switched sides a little bit. You know what I mean? Because he was like, all right, well, shoot, King David's gone. You know what I'm saying? Even though he showed me mercy, even though he let me sit and eat, at his table, you know what I mean, um, and show me mercy and all that. I'm, I'm gonna go ahead and get the kingdom back. You know what I mean, of my grandfather Saul. Okay, because I believe that was Jonathan's son, if I'm not mistaken, Mephibosheth, right? And so
I believe so. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
because if Saul's his grandfather, of course Jonathan was his.
Mephibosheth, that's the cripple dude, right?
Yeah, that's the one that was crippled.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's remember because this is the
I,
guy.
matter of fact, go click on his name. Yeah, click
Yeah,
on his name just to be sure.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, ain't no use of winging it if we don't got to.
yeah.
Yeah, ain't no use of winging it ever. Don't
No,
ever wing it.
of course, yeah.
Shit.
Well, let me go back. Let me zoom out here. Can y'all see my screen still?
Yep.
Okay. Hold on. It's like not letting me zoom out. Let me reload this page here. All right. There we go. Um, hold on. It's in the NLT. All right, here we go. Let's do this one. David, servant of Mephibosheth. All right. All right. So it says the grandson of Saul and son of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, Saul's concubine, and he and his brother were among the seven. Oh no, this is a different one. Well, no, well, not a different one, but this is the one we're talking about. Son of Jonathan and grand Saul of Saul, right? So I guess Saul had two grandsons with the same name, but this is this is the one we're talking about, the son of Jonathan, the grandson of Saul. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's go back here. Okay. And let's go back to the NLT. All right. So it says, verse 3, and keep in mind, nobody asked Ziba to, hey, go out and, refresh King David and his servants, right? He did it out of his own, his own heart. The Lord put the spirit on him to, to show reverence, right? And so, King David asked him, hey, what's going on with Mephibosheth, your master, you know what I mean? It says, where is Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson? The king asked him. It says, he stayed in Jerusalem. Ziba replied, he said, today I will get back the kingdom of my grandfather Saul. Right? So again, he basically gotten that spirit of Saul again. All right. The spirit of Saul hopped on him, and basically he said, you know what, I'm gonna go ahead and try to use this situation to my advantage.
I'll say, but when you read the commentary, you know what I'm saying? It's possible that he wasn't Mephibosheth wasn't even on that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So Ziba came into question a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you'll see. You'll see when we get to the commentary.
Okay, Khan. So it says in verse 4, in that case, the king told Ziba, I will give you everything Mephibosheth owns. I bow before you, Ziba replied. May I always be pleasing to you, my lord the king. Okay.
All right, now stop right there. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull the commentary.
Okay, here.
All right. It
I
says,
got to pull it up too.
okay. It says, as David left Jerusalem, Ziba, whom David appointed to manage the property of Saul's grandson Mephibosheth, took the opportunity to win David's favor by bringing him food and animals to assist his escape. Ziba then told David that Mephibosheth was a traitor who was planning to seize the throne for himself. As a result, David took away Mephibosheth's property and gave it to Ziba, though later events showed there was some doubt whether Mephibosheth really was a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, because when you go into that, I think is the next chapter, David, or whenever, well, not the next chapter, whenever David goes back into the city and he confronts Mephibosheth about it, Mephibosheth kind of, he kind of defended himself a little bit. So yeah, so you're right. Yep, that's exactly what happened. So yeah, man, there was a lot of people pleasing going on. People were trying to basically capitalize off of the situation.
Hey, pull that scripture. Every brother will utterly supplant.
Yep.
Every brother's not a brother.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you want to take note of, because you see, with David being in such a high power position, it was always something for him to deal with. You know what I'm saying? So when you come to serve the Lord, trouble is gonna come from every side.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's another thing that comes to mind. You got people, you got your kids. I would say his kids was acting up, his concubines was getting all out of, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then you had your right hand, you had the head of your army. Everybody had something on their mind outside of what the Lord had going.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So Jeremiah chapter 9 verse 4 says, "Take ye heed every one of his neighbor, and trust ye not of in any brother, for every brother will utterly supplant, and every neighbor will walk with slanders.
That's what I'm saying. Because a majority of the Psalms was David crying to the Heavenly Father about what was going on with him amongst his own people.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I got to deal with everybody
Yep.
to the point to where he was crying to the Heavenly Father left and right. Lord, please, you know what I'm saying? Help.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do right now. You know, he was in that state quite a bit. You know, once the Lord turned it up on him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It kind of reminds me of when the Exodus happened and everybody was coming to Moses before he had started delegating captains over 1,000, captains over 100. Like basically everybody was coming to him with an issue, and he was on that high level talking about Moses.
Yep.
Well, King David, he pretty much was in a very high situation, high position as well, where he had to constantly judge situations, right? So people were trying to take advantage of him, and
I was saying this on some Game of Thrones type stuff.
yeah, yep, yeah. Esau don't make up everything out of his own creation. I mean, a lot of this stuff comes from the scriptures, man.
Yeah, I would say you got a spirit. I would say you have quite the spirit on you if you're trying to plot on the king.
Yeah, kind.
Yeah, you gotta have a bold spirit on you to kill the king, man.
Yep. So that's why it titles this part here.
Yep, Ziba, Ahithophel was tripping. He was close to King David. You know what I'm saying? You had all these people that were trying their best to get in and wiggle. And it's the same thing today, man. It's the same thing today, man. Spiritually, you got demons that'll jump on brothers that'll try to, you know what I'm saying? That'll turn a brother left that you've been dealing with for years. You know what I'm saying? Y'all are like Ella Ariana said, y'all done ate so much chicken together, y'all done broke so much bread in the scriptures, y'all done all these things, and then all of a sudden now you the devil and he not.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yep. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 7. It says, "Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart."
Look up that word oppression.
Mm-hmm. Strong's H 62 33. I shock. It says oppression, cruelly, extortion, injury, to gain by extortion, fraud.
Right? Oppression. Right? Now look up the word for mad.
Mm-hmm. See here. All right, that word mad is Strong's H 1984, halal. It says, see, you got a couple of definitions here. To boast, to be boastful. Let me see here.
Go down to the bottom. Read E and F.
Yep. To make a fool of, to make into a fool, to act madly, act like a madman.
That's what I'm saying. Oppression will drive you crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Oppression will drive you crazy.
Yep.
It is what it is. You see? And being oppressed, I would say, bro, let that sink in. The king was being oppressed.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? As punishment for his disobedience, for one. You know what I'm saying? Also, so the Lord could work miracles. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes the Lord will put you in a situation to catch hell just so he can work a miracle.
Mm-hmm.
You see? And David never cursed the Most High.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It never got so bad where David denounced the Lord and went on his own way and said, you know what, I'm gonna do me, I'm out. He never that never happened.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that word here is specifically in a text, Yahawalal, which is it means to make into a fool, to make a fool of. So oppression would drive you crazy, man. You know,
Yeah, I said the Lord can drive you crazy and make a fool out of you. He done that a couple of times. You remember how he did Nebuchadnezzar
right? Oh yeah, turned his ass
and
into
yeah, Antiochus.
man,
Yeah, had him Putin and farting all over himself before he killed him.
man. It's heavy. Yep. And,
You
and
got it.
in the second part of this verse, it says what? A gift destroyed the heart, because that's the reason why I brought this precept out. You know what I mean? Is because when you go into that word, it says in a bad sense, a bribe. Okay, a bribe. You know what I mean? Um, so basically, uh, Ziba was trying to win over the favor of David, of King David, right? Because basically, but he threw his his master under the bus. He threw Mephibosheth under the bus and made it look like basically Mephibosheth was, he wasn't with King David. He was just trying to seek the kingdom for himself. You see, so the water for that guidance on that was Quan, because that makes sense now why titles here how it says Ziba was the false servant, because he was the really one. He was the one that was trying to get over on the situation.
Yep. And the thing is, even though he was using those gifts, even though he was using those gifts for his own motives, it didn't have nothing to do with looking out for the king. You know what I'm saying? It just so happened that the king needed those things due to the situation that he was in.
Mm-hmm.
So it all worked itself out, showing you that the Lord controlled both sides.
Cut. Yep.
You got it.
Yep. So all right. So next part of the chapter is this part here, 2 Samuel chapter 16:5. It says, and when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul. Now, real quick, I want to get Bahurim, the location of that city. Strong's H980, Bacharium. Okay. Um, let's see here. Young Men's Village, a town in Benjamin between Jerusalem and Jericho, beyond the Mount of Olives on the way to Jericho. So it seems like David kind of may have uh, maybe been going to Jericho on his way there. Do I got the map pulled up? Let me see. I don't know if I still got this map. Let me see if I got anything here. Okay, so you got Jerusalem. I know it's kind of pixelated a little bit, but you got Jerusalem here, which is right here on the border of the tribe allotment of Benjamin to the north, and then to the south you have the land allotment of Judah. Jerusalem is situated right in between, okay, those two tribe allotments, and then you have Jericho to the east. I believe we went into on the last lesson how the Mount of Olives is uh, located outside of the city of Jerusalem to the east. And so in between Jerusalem and Jericho, you have this city, Bahurim, somewhere in between here. So that's where this is happening, right? So just to kind of get that visual, and by the way, you can see according to this, it's in the land of Benjamin, right? Which we know that King Saul was from Benjamin. So of course you had scoffers that was fans of King Saul. If voting was a thing back then, they would have voted for King Saul, right? So of course they're not a fan of this guy specifically. What was this dude's name? This guy Shimei. He wasn't a fan of King David, right? Because why? His family he was of the house of Saul. That's why. Okay. So same thing today. Spiritually, you have those that are of the house of Saul spiritually, and those that are of the house of David spiritually. So, you're gonna have somebody that's, not of the elect. You know, they're going to be at odds and at variance with the elect. Okay. So it says, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came. Right. So he was,
Look up that word cursed.
man. Yeah.
See if the F word or the B word or the MF word.
Right.
See if any of those come up under the word curse.
Right. Yeah. No. I think we got this word last week too. Um, Strong's H7043 qualal, which is the opposite of uh, palal. Okay. Because palal means to pray. Okay. Um, and then qualal means to curse. Okay.
Oh, I say, and a curse is a prayer.
Right.
It's just a prayer for the Lord to do harm.
Right. Exactly.
Just like a prayer is a prayer for the Lord to do good.
Yep. Yep. And then halal is praise, like we say, call halal all
Right.
praises, right? Call halalyum really would be all praises. Call halal is all praise, right? And then you have qualal, which is the curse, um, right? As you can see here, curse. Um, so it says to be trifling. Yeah, I think we did. I think we
Oh
did.
man, no, that was a trip. That was
Oh
a
yeah,
trip. My
yeah.
my old lady was telling me about how we you run across the weird names, and
Hmm.
the name was Trifine Generate.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and I was like, that sounds like trifling degenerate.
Right, man. Say,
Man, hopefully that's not a note, omen.
right. They just didn't know how to spell it. They said, you know what, just name him Triaphene. Nah.
Oh man, I got a kick out of that one, boy.
Yeah. So, I believe it's this one here. Uh, yeah, this one here. Second Samuel. Yep. Um, um, to be lightly esteemed. You know. Um, but anyway, let's go back here to the precept. Okay. So it's a curse. It says, but you didn't see no F word or no B word or no sugar honey iced tea. Okay, you saw a an insult, a prayer for somebody to do
It was the harsh words of the day because it
right,
mentioned while he was saying those harsh words of that particular time, he was hurling stones at the king too.
right.
You
Yep,
see,
yep.
so those curses are prayers to go for the Lord to do something to somebody harmful. But
Mm-hmm.
then this right here is just rude speech.
Mm-hmm.
The cursing that he was doing was rude speech. He had a problem with King David. He was throwing rocks at him. He was pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not that he was talking to the Lord right then, but that's what I'm saying. The harsh language is what he was hitting King David with. And King David was like, let him curse. Hey, the Lord put it on him to curse me out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's humble right there for sure.
Go ahead.
Yep. Uh, it says he came forth and cursed still as he came. And in verse 6, and he cast stones at David and at all the servants of King David. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left.
Now you see, now spiritually, you can see why through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, the apostles and elders just keep on teaching no matter what. You know what? Hey, the Lord, man's goings of the Lord. The Lord told that man to cuss me out. He
Right,
ain't doing what the Lord didn't allow.
right,
You know what I'm saying? So it's more taking yourself out of the equation to be like, what the fuck you just called me? Look, you call me whatever. Look, I'll be all that. I'm pretty sure somewhere along the line I deserve it, or maybe the Lord try to work a miracle. But I know I'm not going to get in my feelings about it.
yep,
And they always just keep on teaching, man. And we come in that stead too, man. No matter what nobody's saying about you, especially if you know it ain't true, whether it's true or not, whatever people saying, you know, if your job is to do the work, then that's the most important thing.
right, yep.
Go ahead.
And this is a good time for me to bring the scripture out here in Romans 12. Um, it says, recompense to no man evil for evil, provide things honest in the sight of all men. So even though this guy was bugging out, right? He was cursing David out, throwing rocks at him and his family. You know what I mean? Calling, cursing him out. And he could have King David could have easily commanded his mighty men, right, who were loyal to him, to just go ahead and just off this guy, right? But this is an example of being spiritual, man. Okay. Now this guy Shimei, he wasn't no Edomite or no heathen. He was an Israelite. So, you judge every situation according to the spirit. Okay. But it says, uh, if it, verse 18, Romans 12 and 18, if it be possible, okay, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, meaning as long as you have the patience, as long as the Lord gave you the spirit to endure, right, live peaceably with all men. Now, could King David have just went berserk mode and just probably ripped his head off or whatever at that moment, or commanded somebody to just go ahead and just go over there and just and end his life for talking?
Take care of my lightweight.
Yeah, you know what I mean? No, for real. He could have had one of his young guys run up on that.
Yeah,
dude,
take care of my lightweight.
But no, King David didn't do that. You see? And that's why the scriptures talk about the mercies of David, man, because David had mercy on other people, okay? And we got to pause it and keep highlighting that, because that's the importance of the mindset that King David had. We got to have that similar mindset. That's the part of, the reason why the Lord had mercy on King David, okay? Because he actually had mercy on other people, okay? Verse 19, it says, dearly beloved, avenge not yourselves, but rather give place unto wrath, for it is written, vengeance is mine. I will repay, saith Yahweh Shem Yahushai.
Yeah, we got to understand that, man. You got everybody they got their own plans on how this thing go down.
Yeah.
When the prophecies are the most important thing. So you had Bubble Eye, had all them people move out to Egypt, trying to flee Babylon, and that's not what the prophecy was saying, and it ended up being a messed up situation for a whole lot of people.
Yep.
So you want to make sure that you getting into this word, and you looking at matter of fact, get that occupied in prophecy.
Okay. Yeah.
Apocrypha.
Yeah. Sirach 39. I got you.
Yeah. The prophecies, I would say the prophecies are what indicate what's coming next or what times we in and all that. So without the prophecies, you pretty much shooting blind. You know what I'm saying? You got a bow and arrow. You got a state of the art bow and arrow shooting with your eyes closed.
Man. Come on.
And they spun you around before you start shooting.
God, for real. This is Sirach 39 and 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof.
That's what I'm saying. Giving your mind to the law of the Most High and being occupied in prophecy is a way to seeking wisdom, looking into the ancient. Those are how you come out of the world. If you're doing those things right there, it's easier to come out of the world.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Because while you searching for the wisdom and you meditating in the prophecies and you doing all these different things, the world seems to get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where it don't matter to you no more. You see? So when people grab a hold of this Bible and they're not occupied in prophecy and seeking out the wisdom and seeking out the ancient, you see the results. You got to put fringes on everything. We got to chase this bag. We're going to build this school. We're going to do this. Because your eye ain't single. Our eyes are single on the prophecies, man. You see? That faith that was given to us as a gift, we utilizing it. And using that faith to be occupied in the prophecy. So when you see more and more prophecies come to pass, your faith gets boosted more and more and more. So all these moving parts are working together. And before you know it, you got a man of the Lord potentially finna have spiritual powers sooner rather than later.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
That's right. Sirach 39 and 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High and is occupied in the meditation thereof will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies.
Keep going.
Verse 2, he will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also.
That's what I'm saying. That's why we're able to break these things down and understand the code. You see, we understand that those missiles, those arrows are talking about missiles. We understand that those clouds are sometimes talking about chariots. We understand these things. We understand that Babylon, the great is America, based on the prophecies.
Mhm.
You see, not based off how much money we can hustle out another Israelite.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Verse 3. He will seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversant in dark parables.
That's what I'm saying. You're gonna go into the prophecies. You're gonna go into the history. You're gonna go into the different languages to get the true understanding of the words.
Yep. That's what
That's
the
what I'm saying.
Bereans.
When you doing that, you ain't got as much time to party when you doing that. Not saying that not gonna have your times to party, but you better do this first. You should want to do this first. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead.
Yep. It says, verse 4, Sirach 39 and 4. He shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travel through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men.
So that's pretty much it on that. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying? But we can go back.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's pretty much the description of an apostle. What we just read.
Yep. Yep. That's what Apostle Paul shoot. He was put before trial, before many leaders, and he spread the word the whole every second of the way. You see, because that's the ultimate reason why. Another example of that last verse would be uh, Nebuchadnezzar. Um, basically inquiring of Daniel, for the interpretation of the dream. He actually inquired of Daniel to interpret a dream, basically, that the Lord had gave him, right? Because why Daniel was occupied in prophecies. Okay, so the Lord made him to go and appear before princes and great men,
That's
right?
right.
So going back to this 2 Samuel chapter 16 and um, verse 7, it says, "And thus says Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial." Right? So he was talking smack to King David.
That's what I'm saying. No curse words. It was harsh language.
Yeah.
Calling King David a bloody man. You got blood on your hands. Get out here, you devil.
Yeah. Yep.
You got blood on you, you bloody hand devil. You're chucking rocks. That's what I'm saying. The harsh language of that time. Not
Right.
once in this passage did Shimei face the east and ask the Lord to curse King David.
Right.
You have to be able to understand those and the context of these scriptures when you see these words. You see?
Yeah.
That's how you become occupied in these words. You become occupied in these words so you can get the most thorough understanding you can possibly get, so that you can be meet for repentance yourself and bring those back. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord said, those that believe on my word, you teach, is people going to believe on that same word.
Hmm.
So that whole process is happening. You got it?
Verse 8, the Lord Yahweh hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul. This guy had demons on him, man. He's
Yeah.
like, he's like, man, look what the Lord did, man. Look, see, right? It says, the Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man.
You see that? You see that? You dirty so and so and such. Even your kids don't deal with you. No.
Mm-hmm.
He was on that.
Man, he had that spirit.
But that's what I'm saying. Through the spirit, look at the way that they treated the Lord when the Lord was on trial, throwing stuff at him, cursing him out, hitting on him, all those different things, and he kept it together.
Yep. Man.
So see, you got Yahushua and you got King David both keeping it together in a very, very tough time.
Yep. Because just like, I'll say this too, Zaquan, just like how King David on the physical side had the ability to quell, that confrontation by, having his men do whatever, right? hey, on the spiritual side, Yahushua, he could have commanded, you know, his army of angels
That's right.
to you know, to deal with whatever situation, you know what I mean, on the spiritual side. So they were both, you know, they both had that restraint. They
Right.
both showed that restraint in that regard, in that comparison. So it says in verse 9, and then said Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. So he even inquired of King David, right? To say, hey, look, you know, why you don't just let me just go ahead and just off this dude real quick? You see? I mean, he, you know, this guy, he talking all this smack. Let me just go cut his head off real quick. Please, Baba Kosha. That's what that's the type of time Abishai was on, you know. And this is King David's response. It says, and the king said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse. And whenever somebody says, what have I to do with you, that typically means like, yo, man, you know, you're doing too much. Like why are you trying to,
Bro, chill.
yeah, why are you trying to do more than what's necessary? You know, relax. You know? So it says, ye sons of Zeru, it says, so let him curse. This is David speaking again. So let him curse, because the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, had said unto him, curse David. You see, and this is a key. You know, this may not be the most commonly read chapter that we read. We probably don't bring this out on the highways and byways all the time, but this is a good lesson, man, that shows you that back then we had an understanding that, like, you know, all the times. How many times, Aquan, have we said the Lord put the Spirit on somebody to do this or that?
Man.
You see what I'm saying? David understood
Resisted
this.
his will. Yep.
Yeah. Well, we know we can get that actually.
Yep.
Yeah, we can get
Whoever
that.
resisted his will.
You know, because that's one thing that differentiates us. You know, I'll say, you know, the ones that are in the know. When I say us, I'm talking about the ones that are in the know, the ones that have the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. That's one thing that differentiates us from the rest of these people out here. They don't understand that whatever they do, okay, is because the Lord commanded a spirit, whether on the right hand side or the left hand side, to put a particular spirit on us to do something, to make a decision. You know, and if you don't have the covering of the Lord, then the Lord is going to send a demon, okay, an evil spirit, to cause you to do something, to go off, and then the Lord going to destroy you.
Oh yeah.
You see? So this is Romans chapter 9 and verse 19. It says, thou wilt say unto me, because basically when you go in Romans 9, it talks about multiple things, but right before this verse, it talks about how the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and Paul kind of expounds on that, right? Um, and then it says in verse 19, thou wilt say unto me, why doeth he yet find fault? For who hath resisted his will? Right? And so this is kind of like a question, and also like a true statement included in this verse, because basically, um, you know, you can't say that, you know, you have free will, because if the Lord wants you to do something, right? If he puts a spirit on you to rebel, okay, and you go forward with it, that's on you, because there is, uh, you know, there is a time where if the Lord is dealing with you, you know, you're going to be presented with an option to choose good or evil, okay, meaning, uh, you know, make a decision. But ultimately, if the spirit of the Most High is dealing with you, you're going to fold and you're going to go off, right? So whatever the Lord has created you to do, whether it's be a vessel unto honor, or to be a vessel unto dishonor, like it talks about, right, in the following verses, that's the Lord's will. That's how He set everything up.
Right. When you in our carnal fleshly minds,
Hmm.
right? You think that your only options are to go left or to go right. You can
Yeah.
go forward or you can go back,
Right.
right? Now, each one of those directions has an outcome, and whichever one you pick is the one that the Lord chose for you to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the Lord's mind, there's way more than just 4 options.
Right.
Get that in Isaiah 55. His thoughts are more than our thoughts. His ways are not our ways.
Mm-hmm.
So there is no free will. You might think that's what I'm saying. The thought of free will is an illusion.
Right. That's it. That's
You
it.
know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Because there's no decision that you can make that's gonna have the Lord scratching his head and having to figure out something extra, and he pull out the eraser and blow
Yeah.
everything off and got to start over. That'll never happen.
Right. Yeah. And if that's something that's too hard to understand this. When you look in the mirror, that's not another you. That's just an illusion. That's just a reflection of who you actually are. Right? When you make a decision, it seems like you're the only one involved, but there's more to it than just that decision that you make. There's more to it than just, okay, I decided to eat pancakes today instead of a bowl of oatmeal. Like everything we do, right? This whether it's voluntary or involuntary, in a roundabout way, it kind of almost is involuntary because the Lord, he's beyond time. So he already knows what we're going to do.
Right.
See? So this is Isaiah 55:8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. Yeah, because that's how, I mean, come on. The Most High is able to put words in men's mouth to prophesy, say things is going to happen, and they just so happen to become fulfilled. No, it's not just happenstance. It's because there's a higher power in control of something that you can't see with your bodily eyes.
I'll say after that, after you get done with this precept, go to Job 33.
Okay, Con. All right. Job 33.
Like 15 or 16.
Uh-huh. Okay. This
Well,
is
finish that.
Yeah. I was gonna say this is a little bit more in this Isaiah 55. Yeah. Isaiah 55 and verse 9, it says, for as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
That's what I'm saying. Like I said, the Lord ain't erasing nothing and blowing out the paper. Hell, we even got a precept in the scriptures talk about how we hardly guess it right. You know what I'm saying? Trying to outthink the Lord.
Con.
You know, so all those precepts come together. So once you have an understanding that the Lord, the understanding you do have was given to you, it humbles you. You know, You got it.
Yep. Yeah, man. So
That's it on that.
yeah, that's heavy. Going back to, going on to Job chapter 33 and verse
Matter of
15.
fact, you don't got to keep on reading down in the last precept, but when you read further down in Isaiah, it talks about how the Lord's word ain't gonna come back to him void.
Oh, right. Yep.
You see, it talk about how the Lord. Go ahead, go ahead and read it.
Verse 11. Isaiah 55:11 says, "So shall my word that goeth forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void."
You see that? So that's what I'm saying. How we can say that World War III is inevitable. How we can talk about the MOTB.
Yeah.
That's because the Lord put that energy out there, and it's not gonna come back void. That MOTB is gonna be forced on people, and it's precepts all throughout the scriptures that go into that. You see, it ain't nothing nobody can do to stop it. You know what I'm saying? If it was free will, you would think Esau would be able to stop and say, you know what, I got enough. I got everybody groveling, eating out my hands, down on their knees. I got this. I'm just gonna chill. But since there's no free will, he can't stop because the prophecies say that he's going to eventually destroy himself. And all his allies are going to turn against him, and then the Lord is going to finish him off.
God. Yeah.
There's nothing that anybody can do to stop that.
Yep.
So there's no free will. Go ahead.
Yep. That's right. It says, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it.
So once you can wrap your mind around that, it tends to make you more of a believer and more obedient in what the Lord got going. You don't want to be a part of all that other stuff that's coming. Go ahead.
Man, hey, that kind of reminds me of Jonah and the fish. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah. Oh yeah.
Jonah was like, "Nah, the Lord's word going, it's going to return void." You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna flee from the voice of the Lord. I'm gonna go to Tarshish. You know what I'm saying? And the Lord was like, "Nah,
I would
nah,
say if back to square one was a person.
man, for real, for real." It's a Job 33 real quick. I know we still got some good amount left in Second Samuel. This is Job 33 and verse 15. Okay. Well, damn.
That's it. You can start
Okay.
right there.
Okay. All right. This is Psalms 35, 33 and 15. In a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, in slumberings upon the bed,
Right.
then he openeth the ears of men and sealeth their instruction. Yep. Like that movie Inception. You know,
And that's
gotta
what I'm saying. When you sleep, bro, when you sleep, you are never more vulnerable than when you sleep.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's when the Lord seals your instructions. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And you wake up and you do what you do. You know what I'm saying? I hope my charger in the is out here. Let me see. I hope it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'll say so. If the Lord is what man on the planet don't sleep?
Right.
So if the Lord controlling you while you sleep, then guess what? You ain't in control.
Man.
So having said that, you know what I'm saying? You can't help but to be hella humble. You know what I'm saying? Because the Lord can easily, I would say, if the Lord can control you while you sleep and have you doing whatever you're gonna do for the next day, then how much more? How much more if He got some other plans for you? You know?
Man. That's Ooh, that's heavy.
Yeah, I would say you are not. I would say you are not in control. I would say the Lord don't sleep.
Man.
You can't control His mind and tell Him what He gonna do. Go ahead.
Man. It says that he may withdraw man from his purpose.
You see that? So that He may
Woo!
withdraw man from His purpose. What you thought you was gonna do tomorrow, you're not finna do that.
Yeah.
Why? Because it ain't no free will.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Why do you? I'm saying even on the smallest level, why do you think it's so hard to break up a fight?
Man.
You know what I'm saying? You tell the dude, chill, the cops coming, man, bro, what about your career? Come on, man. Oh, man, you got all these reasons why he shouldn't do what he gonna do, but he is fully enthralled in whatever the fuck.
Mm.
He done took his shirt off. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Despite all these different things. And then what happens always afterwards? Nigga sitting in the jail cell crying, looking for his mama and pa to come get him. You know what I'm saying? Because he couldn't help himself.
Mm.
No free will, nigga.
Mm.
You could have easily walked off, but you felt compelled to continue to nig, and you got a nigga's outcome.
Mm.
Go ahead.
It says, and hide pride from man. I'll read verse
That's
17
what I'm
again.
saying.
Oh, okay.
You
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah. It says that he may withdraw man from his purpose and hide pride from man. Yeah. That Tower of Babel spirit. We're going to build a tower to heaven so we can, get up there with the Most High. Come on, man. Like the Lord, He controls everything, bro. Like, anytime you set your heart to do something, you better pray to the Most High that He's with that on a righteous side to your benefit.
Hey, that's James 4:14. You don't got to get it, but it's saying we're gonna say Lord willing before we say we gonna do this or we gonna do that.
Yeah.
It got to be okay with the Lord, and if it's not, you not gonna do it.
Right. Yep.
Go ahead.
Or you'll do it to your destruction.
Yeah, it's gonna play out for His will, not yours.
Right. Yep. Yep. So I'm gonna jump back here to 2 Samuel 16, and I'll read verse 10 again. We still got. Okay, it's not that long. Verse 10, it says, "And the king said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so? Yeah, you see, so like we read in Romans 9, who have resisted the Lord's will? You see, nobody, right? So anytime we see a demon come up to camp unprovoked, you can't really marvel at that. You know, the Lord put a spirit on them to be adverse, okay, and that's why the elders say, stay in the spirit, brothers, lock in, brothers. You know what I mean? Because don't be dismayed at what the Most High tell Ezekiel. You know what I'm saying? Don't be dismayed at their faces. You know what I'm saying? I'll make my forehead hard against your. I'm gonna make your forehead hard against their foreheads. See? So same thing to Jeremiah. He told him, "Hey, you're gonna have to, gird him up."
Yep.
All right. So this is second Samuel chapter 16 and verse 11. And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "Behold, my son, which came forth out of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone and let him curse, for the Most High hath bidden him."
That's just like Elder Yashawamba always say, man. He was like, man, forget what these people got to say, man. Can't nobody put us out there on Front Street more than the Most High have.
Man,
He was completely justified in destroying us. You know what I'm saying? So the Lord having us out here the way He got us out here, can't nobody do nothing worse to us than what the Lord did.
man.
You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, because even in the commentary, it mentions something to the effect of David might even had it in the back of his mind. Well, shit, I did sin against the heavenly Lord. Maybe He cussing me out for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you need to understand. You need to understand that the Lord is in total control.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Verse 12. It says, "It may be that the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, will look on mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day." You see, because David believed in the Most High, so he prayed, right? And whenever somebody cries to the Most High against you, as somebody who's persecuting that man, all right, and that man is justified, in pleading to the Most High for relief from you as somebody who's persecuting an individual wrongfully, then the Most High is going to take sides, man, and you don't want to be on the side that the Most High is taking action against. Okay, and so it says, verse 13. It says, "As David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along with the hillside over against him and cursed as he went and threw stones at him and cast dust." Right. So David, he pretty much he ate that. He bore that affliction because at any point he could have just said,
He
"Hey, look,
turned the other cheek."
yeah, no, yeah, that's an example of that." But you got to be spiritual, man. Like every time somebody threatens you, this doesn't just mean, okay, you would just invite somebody to punch you in the face, right? But it's like, what could David have done in that situation? Okay, he was already fleeing. He couldn't just walk away. He wasn't even bothering that guy. This guy Shimei came up to David and started, putting hell on David. And David understood that, okay, indirectly the Lord is, basically judging me because this guy Shimei is,
Right. And he took the Lord. Because he could have easily been like, nigga, the house of Saul. Nah, nigga, the Lord ripped the house away from King Saul and gave it to me because I'm obedient. He did not do that.
Right. Yeah.
He did not do that.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It's all about what the Lord wants. And that's one thing that David, he constantly understood. You know what I'm saying? He would always think first, okay, what is the Lord doing? And he came to that conclusion. You know what? Let him curse the Lord. Hey, you know what? It might be something y'all don't know nothing about. You know what I'm saying? The Lord put it on him to do that. So I'm gonna leave it alone. Go ahead.
Right. It says in verse 13, Actually, that's verse 13 already. Verse 14. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. Okay. Let's see here.
That's what I'm saying. You see that? It said the people that was with him became weary and refreshed themselves there.
Mm,
Now, if he'd got pissed off and blew up the spot and put it on Shimei,
mm-hmm,
that probably wouldn't have been able to happen,
mm-hmm.
which would have brought a whole nother set of problems.
Yep.
You know?
A whole fiery mob coming in to avenge Shimei.
Yeah. If David would have said, you know what, go and chop his head off. I'm tired of hearing all that mouth. No. He was like, you know what? Let him curse. The Lord put him up to it. And that quelled the situation.
Yep. Yep. It would have turned into IUIC versus ISUPK's
Oh boy.
Royal Rumble.
Ugh.
Second Samuel 16 and 15, it says, and Absalom. So now we kind of changing the scenery a little bit here. So this is the second half of the chapter titled Absalom enters Jerusalem. Okay, because you got to remember, David fled Jerusalem before Absalom could get there because he figured that Absalom was going. Because remember, he crowned himself. Remember last chapter, in chapter 15, for you brothers that remember, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. That was the whole, he had the whole trumpets and the whole, big thing going on to where basically he was crowned in Hebron, right, which is located in Judea, okay, and basically he marched his ass on up to Jerusalem to go ahead and usurp authority, to find that the king had already vacated the throne, so to speak. Okay.
And the king had spies in his camp too.
Right. Yeah.
They let him know to get up out of there.
Yep. So at the end of chapter 16, basically Absalom had made his way into the city. Okay. So now we're going back to what's going on in Jerusalem. All right. It says in verse 15, and Absalom and all the people of the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. Okay. Now let's go back to chapter 15 real quick, just to refresh these names. All right. Okay. You got Hushai. Okay. And then you have Ahithophel. These are two key names in this situation, because Ahithophel was a counselor. Okay, we went into it last week. I'll pull it up again. Okay, Ahithophel was the counselor of David. Okay, he says a counselor of David, right? Grandfather of Bathsheba, who joined Absalom in the revolt against David. Okay, now so he would be considered an elder. Okay, talking about Ahithophel. Okay, he was the chief counselor of King David, and he ended up switching sides, or pretty much switching sides and taking advantage of that situation. All right, and then you have Hushai. Okay, Hushai was a loyal friend to King David, and basically King David used I'll say used Hushai in a good way. Hushai wanted to help King David, and King David said, "Hey, look, if you want to help me, basically go into the city and tell me, what's going on." You know what I mean? So these are two key names to remember. Just kind of wanted to do a refresh. All right. So when we go back here to 2 Samuel 16, all right, you got Absalom and Ahithophel coming into Jerusalem. All right, verse 16 says, and it came to pass when Hushai, the Archite, David's friend, remember, the one that David talked to outside of the city, said, hey, look, go back and tell me what's going on, and then you just send a report, so that way I can know what's going on without having to be in the city, right? So it says, and it came to pass when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king. God save the king. Right? So Hushai was acting as if he was on Absalom's side. He was kind of playing dumb, like, oh, I don't know, like, what's going on between you and your dad. I'm loyal to you. Right? He was acting as if he was a part of that conspiracy of individuals that was just oblivious to the fact that the Lord is dealing with King David. All right. And basically, he was able to kind of deceive Absalom into thinking that he was on his side, right? So Absalom, verse 17, and Absalom said to Hushai, "Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend?" Right? So Absalom saying, "Hey, look, I know you and King David was cool. I mean, his other servants went with him. Why didn't you go?" Right? In verse 18, it says, "And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and his people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide." So he played on those demons that was in Absalom's head, because Absalom really thought that basically like it was meant for him to rule on the throne. You see, which is why he took it into his own hands. Up until that point, he was able to get away with all the BS that he had committed. He killed his brother. He fled. To the land of the Philistines, right?
Several accounts of adultery with that thing he did with his father's concubines.
Oh yeah, it's gonna get to that. In this chapter, I believe it goes into that in detail, right? So all of these things that Absalom, that rap sheet that Absalom built up, right, basically led to a point to where wisdom, what does it say? It cannot enter into a malicious soul. So he didn't have that wisdom to say, nah, this guy Hushai, he's lying. You see, he's really he didn't have that. The Lord took that ability to discern the fact that Hushai was really still down with King David. Okay, so just kind of keeping that in mind, right? And so Absalom believed him, right? So it says, verse 19. This is Hushai continuing on in this part here. "And again, whom shall I serve? Should not I serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence." You see, so that flattery, flattery pretty much deceived Absalom. But guess what? That's what he gets, because he was using flattery to deceive everybody else.
Yep.
So the Lord gave him a taste of his own medicine.
It got supplanted.
Yeah. You see? Right? So it says in verse 20, then said Absalom to Ahithophel, "Give counsel among you what we shall do." Okay. So he trusted him, right? Ahithophel, I'm sorry. This is Ahithophel, right? So this is the counsel of David, right? The guy that switched sides, okay? But basically wanting to leave this point, let this point be made that Hushai basically, I'll say, was accepted into,
fold.
Yeah, he was accepted into the fold. I'll say it like that. All right, so now Absalom's saying, all right, Ahithophel, you the counselor, tell us what we need to do, right? Verse 21, I think it's a couple verses left. Yeah, it says, and Ahithophel said unto Absalom, "Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong." All right. So basically, Ahithophel gave him the most wickedest counsel that he could probably think of, right? And I want to get a little bit of the commentary, see what it says about this here. All right, this is the last chapter here. the last paragraph here in this portion of the commentary. It says, meanwhile, Absalom seized power in Jerusalem, though David's cause was helped when Hushai gained entrance into Absalom's circle of advisors. You see that? You see? So the Lord was with Hushai in that situation. It says Absalom then took over his father's harem, okay, which again the concubines that was left to keep over the house. It says to demonstrate to all that he was now king. Okay, by his shameful treatment of the harem women, he showed his utter contempt for his father. Okay, so basically everybody knew that basically after he did this, everybody knew that he was basically the new ruler. He came in that mug like what it was Scar in the Lion King, and
Man,
took control of everything. You know what I mean? And so that was the most shameful thing it could do. But at the same time, it showed that, hey, look, I'm the king now. You know what I mean?
I was gonna say finish the commentary. Here's one more line.
Oh, okay. Going back to it says, this was all carefully planned by Ahithophel. He saw that if Absalom's revolt was to succeed, there had to be no possible chance of a reconciliation between Absalom and David.
That's what I'm saying. So he planned. I would say he planned to make sure that it wasn't no turning back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yep. Okay. Well, this one kind of goes into the next chapter. You may keep.
We can go ahead and finish up the chapter. We've been going for over an hour.
Yeah. So this is 2 Samuel 16 and 22. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the council, actually, I must speak on that. So, bro, like the fact that they did it openly, it kind of fulfilled that, prophecy that what was the name of that prophet? I think it was Nathan, the prophet, that came to David after the Bathsheba situation and told him, hey, look, what you did was done in secret. Okay. But I'm going to display your shame openly. Nathan told that to King David. Right. And so this is an example of that shame. You got your own son basically publicly, popping, your concubines, you know what I mean, on the balcony of your house. How much more shameful can that be? You know what I mean? So everybody's seen King David's dirty draws for, think about the reason behind why this is happening. It was for that reason, right? And so last verse in verse 23, in the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of the Most High, meaning basically whatever Ahithophel said, basically that was it. Like like that's the answer. Everybody looked at him as like, hey, this guy, he's the wisest guy, right? And it says, so was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. Okay, so that was basically when Ahithophel told that to Absalom, he didn't think twice. He was like, shit, you my father's counselor. You know what you're talking about. You know how to get things done, right? And so he took it upon himself to go ahead and take advantage of that wickedness. But that was the end of chapter 16. Let me see if there's anything on the comment board. Got a couple of precepts here. Let's see what we got. Jonah. Okay, we brought that up in Jonah chapter 3. Okay, I'll bring this up here and then we can close it out. This is from Bayan Yasharala, Proverbs 20 and 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? Yeah. So all of this stuff that's going on was basically premeditated, predetermined, predestined by the Most High, right? He had a spiritual chess match going on in the heavens, because we bring out the scripture all the time. 2 Kings chapter 22, right? Where the prophet basically told the vision that he had of the Lord having the council in the heavens of which spirit's going to go up and persuade this king to go do this particular thing, right? So these things happen all the time. We're talking about the spirit world, the fourth dimension is beyond time as we know it. So things go on at a pace that we can't comprehend, you see? And so we're just we're playing out those things here on the earth, reading about our history, and there's a lot of lessons, in these accounts. So I'm gonna hand off to you, Zaquan. I don't know if you had any other points or anything like that.
Oh no, that was it. That was it, man. Having the understanding that the Lord is in total control, and fearing the Most High is the beginning of wisdom. So we've been convinced, Lord willing, we endure to the end. And when you read these accounts, put yourself in those shoes. You know what I'm saying? Think about how your life is going. Think about having to deal with all those type of things too. These things were written aforetime for our learning. So hey, with that, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Raha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the elect. And Shalom.
Shalom.